Message from Jeffrey Epstein. Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video. This is going to be a dark video today because they've finally released the Epstein files. You all know I hate the British government, but never have I been more irritated than when being asked to scan my face just to see certain kinds of content. I mean, who wants to look at my face when I'm in that situation anyway? It's bizarre. But thanks to Surfshark, we can have all the fun we want now without having to have our bloody face scanned. You see, Surfshark is actually amazing. You can install it on any device. It's literally one click onto the Surfshark, one click, I'm now in America, and that's straight back onto that bloody lovely website I was about to enjoy. Boom! We're in business. And that's not all it's good for. We all know we like to watch live football, live boxing, and in Britain, that's been made very difficult. Well, Surfshark comes in handy, let me tell you. And for all its amazing benefits that it's brought to my life, I can't believe that it costs less than a coffee a month. Honestly, it's fantastic. We do YouTube brand deals. We have to, right? We've got to keep the lights on. This is brilliant. I'm telling you now. And actually, another big benefit is it masks your IP, so it keeps all your data private when you're browsing online. And you can get an amazing deal when you click the link in the description below because they are doing 4 months extra for free on top of your normal deal. Just throwing it in. So click my link in the description below because this is an absolute game changer. Do it now! If you're wondering, that's Jeffrey Epstein on his kitchen counter with girls running around. He's kind of chasing after them. I know. Fucking hell. The girls are blacked out, obviously, for their identity. This isn't really doing a lot to dispel the whole, you're a massive sex pest. Not good for the PR, this. Yeah, just casually chasing young women around his kitchen like any other 60-year-old. Perfectly normal. Now, for those who don't know the backstory to Epstein, I'll give you a quick rundown. He's estimated to have over 1,000 victims. This spans over decades of abuse. And this man was an incredibly wealthy man, and the source of his money has always been shrouded in mystery. And the idea is that he provided very rich and powerful men access to underage girls for not just money, but the ability to then later blackmail them. Now, he died in jail before he could go to trial by suicide. That's despite the fact that he had a meeting with government officials days before his death, where he apparently was discussing the possibility of cooperating with authorities, and maybe he could have then testified against some of these individuals who he's been linked with, but I guess we'll never know because he offed himself. And what's ironic about this is he told people in the jail that he would never do that, like literally a few days beforehand. And it just so happens that the security cameras malfunctioned that night. So again, it's just one of those coincidences, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. Interestingly, his partner in crime, Ghislaine Maxwell, who was one of the women who would go and recruit these young women for him to abuse, she doesn't think he took his own life.
I believe that he was murdered.
And it just so happens that the injuries Epstein sustained in his death were far more in line with a strangulation than taking his own life. Now, despite the convenience in Epstein not being able to tell everyone who the fuck else was involved in all of this, the FBI and the government have assured us there was no one else involved. Epstein was getting these women for his own pleasure, and he wasn't handing them out to other powerful men. Well, that's that then, huh? We'll all go home. Not on this channel, we won't. I'm exposing this today because many of the victims have spoken out and said to the government, you're talking shit, mate. I was there. I was trafficked to these other men, and they've named them, and there's photographs with them in this file, which tells me that the FBI's investigation might not exactly be thorough when, you know, they're being told by the victims, yeah, there was this guy, there was this guy, there was this guy, and they're like, nah, but was there really though? Well, yeah, I'm telling you there was. Nah. You've got yourself confused there, love. And look, if we're going to start anywhere, it has to be with Donald Trump. He campaigned on, I'm going to release the Epstein files. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. When he got in power, he quickly started backpedaling. And it really felt as though He's saying something that he's like, we don't need to put that out there, really, do it? And after reading these files, I can understand why, because it's not exactly flattering about Donald. It's bad. It is bad, and I'll get into it. But the reality is, we know that they were friends. This is Trump here greeting Jeffrey Epstein coming into his house. And this is Trump having a little chat with Epstein, pointing to the chicks on the dance floor. And you can see at one point, he's even wording to Epstein, you know, that chick over there, she's hot. She's hot, isn't she? And Epstein's sort of like, there you go, she's hot. Look at her, she's hot. I don't know why the fuck I'm laughing, because this is some dark shit that he's been accused of, but it's the fact that we've got this on camera. Epstein having a good old chuckle to himself. And look, these guys, they were friends. And to make matters worse, in 2020, when this shit is all coming out in the open now, so there's no way Trump can act like he didn't know, Ghislaine Maxwell, again, the right-hand woman to Epstein, was in jail for sex trafficking, just to remind you. And yet Donald Trump said this when he was asked about it.
I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well. She's
been arrested for sex trafficking, Donald. I mean, you might not have been following the case, but do you usually wish a sex trafficker well? That immediately made me go, she's got something on him. Because, like, why would you be sending a message like that to her? Because she's going to hear about that. He's the fucking president. And according to these documents, Ghislaine was out here presenting women to Donald, women that Epstein had under his wing. Maxwell presented Redacted to Trump, and they had a conversation for approximately 20 minutes. Redacted was invited to Mar-a-Lago, where she was giving a tour by Trump with Epstein. Maxwell said, "Oh, I think he likes you. Aren't you lucky? This is great." Apparently the girl was like 22 years old, and Maxwell was kind of coaching the girl as to how to please Donald. Now that's pretty tame compared to where it goes from here. In this unclassified document by the FBI, a redacted person here apparently had recordings of Trump, Epstein, and Maxwell discussing strategies for high-profile sex parties at the Donald Trump golf course. In the recordings, apparently Trump stated he was aware of underage sex parties and charged the house money of the golf course to fund the sex parties. And the redacted person apparently witnessed Robin Leach strangle a young girl during a sex party. He claims she is buried behind the 19th hole at the Donald Trump golf course. It then says this redacted person is aware of 3 separate occasions in which girls were murdered and buried there. Redacted was then told if he spoke about the incident he witnessed, he would end up in a hole as well. And what's mad is people have actually gone on Google Earth now and they're looking at like potential burial spots here to see if this could be true. Now, obviously, this is all alleged and who knows if this is true or not, but this is what people have said to the FBI. Now, this document here references a girl who was alleged to have performed oral sex on Donald Trump. This was many, many years ago. I think it's 35 years ago. The friend apparently was around 13 to 14 years old when this occurred. And this girl was also apparently abused by Jeffrey Epstein also. And allegedly, Donald Trump told this girl that she shouldn't ever say anything if she didn't want to disappear, like the 12-year-old female, redacted, whoever that is, and that he was capable of having her whole family killed. Now, what makes this really interesting is this woman did an interview.
The first time that I met Donald Trump was at a party at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. There was an orgy going on, and he was kind of watching off in the distance, and he basically asked if I could come over and give him a hand job. And at first I wasn't very comfortable with it. This was like my first or second, first party, and I didn't think that was my responsibility. But my recruiter told me that I needed to do it, so I agreed to. And then he, I began to. Sorry, this is a little difficult, but before I gave him a hand job, he kind of slapped my hand away and said, "You need to use a glove." And the recruiter ran over and handed me a glove and said, "No one touches Mr. Trump's penis without a glove." So I needed to use a glove. I gave him a hand job, and then immediately after, he had an orgasm, he left, and I didn't see him again at that party.
That is so wild. I don't even know what to think. Let me know in the comments, by the way. Did you find that believable, not believable? I just always want to hear what you guys think when we listen to stuff like this, because it's good to get a group, idea.
Donald Trump had specifically asked about me because I remind him of his daughter, and she said, well, she's 13 as well. So he knew the first time that he saw me, but he took a liking to me because I look like his daughter.
Now, this woman is known as Katie Johnson. She actually sued Donald Trump. She sued for $100 million. And apparently she had like a witness who was the girl who recruited her. And the story is that she dropped the case days before the election out of fear and intimidation. Apparently this is the real photograph of Katie Johnson here, because the Daily Mail ran a story saying troubled woman with a history of drug use who claimed that she was assaulted by Donald Trump at Jeffrey Epstein's sex party at age 13 made it all up. Now, the Daily Mail claimed to have a source who knows everything about her and the case. And apparently she was set to do a press conference, and then new information came to light, which apparently just destroyed her whole narrative. The Daily Mail said that she had zero proof, zero witnesses. It was a load of shit, is what they're saying. And I think one of the main issues is that she changed her story. Something along the lines of, at one point she said she knew it was Donald Trump when she first met him, and then at a later date she said she didn't know it was him and only realised later on when she watched The Apprentice. Now, again, I'll let you lot be the judge of that in the comments as to how believable she was. One thing we can say for Donald Trump is when the initial investigation happened in Epstein, the first time he was arrested, he was the only high-profile guy to give information to the police in 2005, 2006 on Epstein. The lawyer who prosecuted Epstein said no one else would talk. Donald Trump was the only guy who was high-profile who would actually speak on it. And despite what we've heard there is actually no physical real proof of Donald Trump being guilty of anything. That being said, being named in this and even just people saying things, that it's not a good look, especially when you're the fucking president. Jesus. But it's actually a hell of a lot worse for a lot of other high profile guys in these files, including Jeffrey Epstein. Not that he'll care now, but it doesn't look great. Like, you look at this document, for example, this apparently was written by one of his staff. This person claims that 2 foreign girls are buried in the hills around one of the properties that Jeffrey Epstein owned on the orders of Jeffrey and Ghislaine, and that they both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex. And these allegations continue. But even if one of these people is telling the truth, I mean, that's horrendous. And you look at some of the footage that is linked in this email that obviously we can't see, but it's described here of, footage of Jeffrey Epstein's sex with a minor, threesomes, underage, another underage. It's insanely dark shit. And that brings us on to Prince Andrew, pictured here with King Charles. He was famously accused by this girl here, who was very young at the time, and you can see Ghislaine Maxwell in the background there. I think this is at a Jeffrey Epstein property this picture was taken. He was accused of raping her. This is her before she tragically died, another suicide. And she spoke out, and she was paid off by the royal family. The Queen literally paid her £12 million, allegedly, to silence her. And this is where it makes an absolute mockery of the FBI saying that Epstein didn't traffic young girls to other powerful people. We fucking know he did. Why are you lying to us? Why are you always lying? Genuinely, it's an insult to our intelligence. And her dad did an interview, I think, with Piers Morgan, and he said there's no way she committed suicide. Somebody got to her. But unfortunately for Prince Andrew, she's not the only one. And more is coming out now. And in this account, it says Ghislaine Maxwell recruited a girl for a modelling career, which inevitably was never modelling. And instead, she was sold as a sex slave and for torture. And it says that Prince Andrew was an accessory to her death as he tortured her. Now, again, this is all alleged, but when you've got photographs like this in the Epstein files with someone laying there like that and Prince Andrew, leaning over her fucking body, and you're telling me that Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic women to other men, it's just a fucking straight out lie. And that's how you know they're still protecting people. There's also this account which says that a 13-year-old girl was sent to Epstein's Island for Prince Andrew as well. And Sky are now reporting that he's now being investigated for this shit.
Thames Valley Police is assessing a claim that a woman was sent to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's home in Windsor by Jeffrey Epstein in 2010. The encounter allegedly took place at the Royal Lodge, the former Duke's residence at the time, when the woman was in her 20s, her lawyer told the BBC earlier this week. Andrew has not commented on the latest claims, but has previously denied any wrongdoing.
It's a fucking joke, isn't it? It's one rule for them and another rule for everyone else, man. Now, this is Prince Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson. He's got 2 daughters with her. She was very connected to Epstein. She loved him, in fact. I think she knew fine well what was going on with Prince Andrew and Epstein, and she was just fine with it. If anything, I think she was excited by it, to be honest, from reading the messages. So much so, she took her 2 young daughters to see Jeffrey Epstein after he left jail for offences against an underage girl. Can you fucking wrap your head around that? She's sending him emails. Oh, thanks for the plane tickets, Jeffrey, because Jeffrey had money and she wanted money. She sent him this email. You are a legend. What a ledge. Yeah, such a ledge. I really don't have any words to describe my love, gratitude for your generosity and kindness. I am at your service. Just marry me. And it really seems obvious that Jeffrey was using both Prince Andrew and his ex-wife to have a connection to the royals. It only strengthened his position in the circles that he was in, and that was clearly a motivating factor for this man. He did not want to fuck around with any old fucking person. He wanted to be in with the elites, and this was a window into that world. Because she was desperate. You can tell by the way she's calling him a legend. What a ledge. Such a weird thing to call a fucking grown-ass man who's a convicted pedo, by the way. All the lights on. And just to give you an idea of the way that Sarah Ferguson would cover for Prince Andrew's behaviour with Jeffrey Epstein, that she knew fine well was going on, here's an interview she gave.
I don't understand in this day and age how people can make salacious lies up and how the media actually then write about it and then follow on with it, because I just don't understand. This is defamation of character of a person that is the opposite to how he's being portrayed. So Buckingham Palace put out a denial and
on his behalf,
and that's how it works within the royal family.
Oh, well then, that's that then.
They stand by that denial. There's nothing more to be said.
Nothing more to be said. We just paid the girl £12 million to not go to court because it never happened. And I want to give you the 12 million just to be sure it didn't happen. And one of the really interesting things Sarah Ferguson said in her email exchanges with Jeffrey Epstein was that no woman has ever left the royal family with her head. That's about Princess Diana, that. She's acknowledging that they killed her. For me, that's very obvious, by the way. That is insanely obvious. But the fact that she's saying things like that in an email, it just sets she's well aware of her position. That's why she's going to deny it. Deny till you die. Deny or you die. She probably doesn't have a fucking choice. But she also does have a choice in the way she's hero worshipping Jeffrey Epstein. And she's just another one of those gold digging whores. For want of a better word. So it's already very obvious that Epstein was giving women to not only Prince Andrew, but other men that we're going to get onto. And if that's the case, why did the head of the FBI have this to say?
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday.
And he's just flushed his credibility down the toilet with that comment because it's so obvious he's lying. And he's not the only one. Pam Bondi said the same shit.
Our memo on Epstein clearly points out that there was no client list, our July 6th memo.
Now, one of the reasons that it's taken so long for the Epstein files to come out, the main reason that they've given is, well, we're having to do a lot of redacting in order to have privacy for the victims. Right. Why are you blocking out the name of the person who sent this message, which reads, "New Brazilian just arrived, sexy and cute, 9 years old." Why are you blocking out his name? Now, just to be clear, there is another version of that email that reads 19 years old. Either way, that is an email talking about clearly receiving a woman that has been sent to them. Why are you hiding their name? Why are you hiding this person's name who sent Epstein an email saying, "Thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty." Clearly, that's not from a victim. So why are you protecting them? And there's other emails which prove that he was clearly supplying girls to multiple men. This one here from Jeffrey Epstein to one of the victims, it would seem. Make sure you take antibiotics for your pussy. you've had too many dicks in just a few weeks. It's so obvious that he was trafficking girls to a whole bunch of men. And for them to sit there and deny that, it just shows that this is a mockery, isn't it? Now, another power player involved with Jeffrey Epstein was Microsoft owner Bill Gates.
Made a huge mistake, not only meeting him in the first place, but I met with him a number of times. I had a goal of raising money for global health. I didn't realize that meeting with him almost downplayed the incredibly awful things he did.
They knew about what he did before they met him, by the way. Because remember, he was arrested in the early 2000s for this shit, before he was arrested again later. So he would have known. But don't worry, it was for charity.
I learned more about that over time, but
should have Googled it.
It's the big mistakes, including, where Melinda's advice was sound, and I should have followed it sooner than I did.
Yeah. Wonder why you didn't follow your missus' advice. Wonder why. Might have been because you gave her chlamydia from fucking the women that Epstein supplied. Here's an email where Epstein goes into detail about Bill Gates, asking him to delete emails regarding the STD he contracted, and he was actually asking Epstein if he could provide him with antibiotics that he could slip into his wife's, drink so that she doesn't also get the clap and realise what the fuck Bill's been up to when he's been hanging out with fucking Jeffrey. Now, as it happens, Bill's now divorced from his wife, lucky for her, but she has reacted to the news breaking.
The emails in the files suggest that Bill Gates had additional affairs.
They're all additional.
His representative has said all of this is false. It is not on you to have to respond to the details of that alleged behavior, but I wonder what your dominant emotion is when you read these news articles with these details.
Sad. Just unbelievable sadness. Unbelievable sadness, right? And again, I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls?
And as if that wasn't disgusting enough from old Bill, we're about to take it up a notch. Because Bill was one of the main players in the vaccine game, right? He invested a lot, suspiciously, before COVID hit, into vaccines. And these emails between Jeffrey and Bill expose Bill's desire to turn pandemics into profit machines. And it really shows we're just pawns in the game, right? When, years before the pandemic just suddenly hits out of nowhere, who's seen that coming? Well, Bill Gates did. That virus that it was just a bat, wasn't it? It was just a bat. Well, we'll find out it was man-made, and Bill Gates predicted it'd come in and capitalized on it every step of the way. But just forget about that. He just gives to charity, doesn't he? He's just a good guy. Now, this woman is a Hollywood publicist known as Peggy Siegel. And this is an email from her to Jeffrey about heading over to Africa, and she's offering to bring Jeffrey little babies back. Can I bring a little baby back for you or two, boys or girls? And at first you think, was that a joke maybe? But there's more emails of girls seemingly getting pregnant to Jeffrey Epstein. Obviously he's fucking them all day, every day it seems. It's going to happen. And the stories are that they would have their babies taken away from them almost immediately after giving birth. There's emails here, congratulations on your baby boy to Jeffrey Epstein. There's, pictures like this where it seems like a small person is sat on his lap. Could that have been a small woman? I don't know. But there's also other pictures where there's like a child's leg in the side of the image where Jeffrey is sitting in a room. And if that isn't weird enough, just to crank things up a notch, apparently Jeffrey was collaborating with Bitcoin developer, biohacker, and transhumanist Brian Bishop to create the first live birth of a human designer baby. They wanted to set up like a lab and achieve human cloning within 5 years. And basically, Epstein would have been the investor to put the money in to create this lab where they would just generate babies. And this is mental. Apparently, Epstein was obsessed with something known as transhumanism. And this is apparently where you upgrade humans using genetic engineering. I think this is something that Hitler was actually on. Eugenics is what they called it, where you'd improve the human race by selective breeding. And it's said that Epstein wanted to like impregnate like 20 women. That just sounds so fucking mental. And create what he believed would be like a genetically superior offspring, which I find weird when you look at the little fat shit. But his idea would be to put the money into this lab, have the genetic, code built into these babies so that they would be like elite. And this just keeps going in so many weird directions, I don't even know what to say anymore, which is probably a good time to bring up Elon Musk. Now, you remember Elon played a bit of a role in these files actually being released because he was the one who pointed the finger at Donald Trump and said, you're in these files, which he was right about. And I think we fucking knew he was, to be honest with you. This is Elon pictured with Ghislaine Maxwell, and he's always denied like going to Epstein's island. He says, I rejected him. Now, the reality wasn't quite as simple as that. Elon said to Epstein in 2012, do you have any parties planned? I've been working to the edge of sanity this year. So once my kids head home after Christmas, I really want to hit the party scene. This invitation is much appreciated, but a peaceful island experience is the opposite of what I'm looking for. So that was in response to an invitation from Epstein. So he's saying, I want to go wild. He even says, what day/night will be the wildest party on your island? Now, after that, Elon does call in sick. He says, I've got food poisoning or a bug. We'll have to do it another time. Elon again sort of gives him the cold shoulder and says, yeah, later on in the year, I don't have time for this. I'm really busy. But then later, Elon does seem to be open to the idea, coming back with some dates saying, when should we head to your island? On the 2nd. And Epstein replies that he's actually busy, but hopefully they can finally schedule another time in the near future. So officially, Elon never went to the island and wasn't really involved with Epstein like that. However, he wasn't like completely against the idea. And I think him putting it across as if he completely shut it down isn't accurate. He kind of shut it down, but he also was like, oh, maybe, maybe we will do it. Another insanely wealthy, powerful man, Richard Branson, is photographed here with Jeffrey Epstein. They've got an email from him saying that it was nice seeing you yesterday to Epstein. And he added, anytime you're in the area, would love to see you as long as you bring your harem. I think that means a group of women. I'm not really that familiar with that term. So even Branson, has been involved to some degree here. Now, this right here is Peter Mandelson, who's been a very powerful figure in British politics for many years. Here is him in his underwear at Jeffrey Epstein's place. Yeah. Awkward for him. Now, this guy was the right-hand man, a very close advisor to Tony Blair, who did more damage to the UK than any other British politician in history, in my opinion. And he's actually been recently a close advisor to now Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Starmer even appointed him as ambassador to the United States before firing him after it came out how closely linked he was with Epstein. The problem is they all knew he was involved with Epstein. It was just the fact that he got out that got him fired. They already knew that. What's made me laugh is this clown's come out and went, well, I was separate to the sex life of Jeffrey Epstein. I'm like, mate, you're in your underwear with a woman in his flat. What the fuck are we talking about here? Just fancied airing it out, did you? Just let your balls fucking give them an airing. And the funny thing is, he's trying to deny, like, well, you can't say that was taken in Epstein's flat. And Sky News have gone, yeah, we can.
Well, my colleagues in the Data and Forensics Unit have been able to match some of the metal railing that's visible through those curtains at that window to the left-hand side of Mandelson and the individual to the side of him. And they have matched that metal railing that is visible through that window to those on the exterior.
You can't say that for sure. Could have been anyway.
And a still from the video can show a lamp and curtains that match.
They're now matching it with the other videos from Epstein's flat in Paris as well. So you're cooked, mate, I'm afraid. You got nothing. And what's funny is Mandelson used to be great at PR and advising Tony Blair of how to be a slippery little weasel that he was and get out of things. You're not getting out of this, you little bitch. Ugh, I hate him. And it wasn't just him shagging Epstein's girls, right? It was also him telling Epstein important things that were going to happen before they were happening in British government. Sources tell me the €500 billion bailout almost complete. He also told them that Gordon Brown, the Prime Minister, was going to resign before it happened. He is leaking important government data to this man. That's like, you're in with him, you're tight with him. I think he could go to jail for this shit, by the way. And what's funny is when Keir Starmer sacked him, he got a big payoff. This is what he's been doing behind the scenes the whole time, feeding government data to a world-renowned pedo. It really just sums it all up, though, doesn't like it? I'm not even surprised. Is anyone surprised? These fuckers are all in it together. Now, there's this video of, I think, a private jet that Epstein was on, and you can see the knees of this girl. Obviously, they've blacked out her head, and then it cuts to a man's face. Now, this guy is a man called Nati Tetwa. This man was a South African ambassador and clearly a good friend of Jeffrey Epstein. Now, for some reason, late last year, he decided to jump out of a building in Paris to his death. Yet another person connected to Jeffrey Epstein who just took their own life for whatever reason. There's so many of those little stories. Like, there's actually another guy who was a procurer of women for him, who would bring women to Jeffrey Epstein. He was paid millions by Jeffrey Epstein. He did the same thing as well. I could literally go on and on, but there's one family that I need to cover in this video, and that's the Clintons. Now, here is one of the many pictures of Bill and Jeffrey hanging out together. I mean, these guys were very, very close. It's clear they were way closer than Trump was to Jeffrey. There's minimal stuff of Trump and Jeffrey together. There's a whole bunch of stuff where these two were bros, essentially. Now, the Clintons, both Bill and Hillary, were subpoenaed to testify on Jeffrey Epstein and everything that they know about him a while back. They delayed and said that the subpoenas weren't valid. They clearly do not want to say what they fucking know about Jeffrey Epstein. I think that's very obvious. Now, Congress then initiated proceedings saying that they weren't being compliant. And at that point, once it became clear that they weren't going to get away with this shit, the Clintons have caved. But they've done it in a classic Clinton spin way of being like, well, we want to talk about it, but you've got a funny way of fucking showing it. Now, apparently, in doing so, they tried to narrow the topics of what they would discuss. So, for example, they wanted to do a voluntary interview instead of a sworn testimony, which is a lot less official and a lot less punishable if you fucking lie. They wanted to put time limits on it. They didn't want video recordings. You can see where this is going. They wanted Hillary to just be able to write a written statement and not even have to turn up and fucking talk. But it looks like they're not going to get their own way. And at the end of this month, they're going to be put on the fucking stand. And what makes this fascinating is Bill Clinton was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane more than anyone else. And we know, like everyone knows, he's got a thing for young women. He always has. He couldn't keep his hands off the fuckers even in the White House. So when they testify at the end of February, I'm really going to be interested to see what they say, if they implicate anyone, and what they manage to come up with as a way to avoid the truth, because we all know he's been up to no good. Bill Clinton 100% has been involved in bad things with Epstein. But everything I've covered up to this point in this video is basically all we've got right now, and I do feel like the fact that they've released half of what they've got, basically, it's 3 million that they've released. They've got another 3 million files that they haven't released. And even what they have released, they've redacted and they've redacted. And you say that they've protected people who have been doing the wrongdoing. And this feels like a very clever plan of going, look, we're under pressure. People feel like we're involved in this. The greatest cover-up is the one where you give people just enough information to make them feel like they've got the full story while keeping back the real shit. And that is exactly how this feels to me. Which begs the question, what else are they hiding? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And definitely let me know on each individual person what you made of them. Is there more dirt on people like Bill Gates, Donald Trump, all of these guys, Elon Musk? Who knows? Hopefully we'll find out. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the True Geordie YouTube channel. I'll see you on the next one.